employment law expert David Wright in our series of videos, and they really covering the issues that I think we all have. So David, minimum wage, this is something that I get asked a lot about, especially when someone's on commissions, and whether or not, one of the classic things I get asked is if someone's on commission, 1 week if they're making quite a lot of commission, and another week they're not, and it's going to even out, does that constitute the minimum wage?
Right, that's a difficult one, but let me do my best to answer it.
Right.
What we should really say on the contract is you'll receive, we'll pick a figure, 35%, or let's say the living wage, £7.20, whichever is the greater.
Right.
So in theory, it's saying at the end of the week you've got to earn the minimum wage. Now, the reason it's ever so slightly complicated is that if you're unlucky and you get a minimum wage claim or a minimum wage inspection, they'll say, did the employee get the minimum wage for the pay period? So if you pay people weekly, well, then they've got to get the minimum wage, £7.20 in that week. If you pay people 4 weekly, at the end of that 4 weeks, their commission's got to be more than the equivalent minimum wage.
Right.
So there's a bit of give and take if you pay people over a longer period of time. But most of my customers will just simply write, it's £7.20 or X%, whichever is the greater.
Excellent, that's brilliant. So with the minimum wage, what kind of things do you get asked in particular? Where do people fall foul of it?
Okay. We've had several customers this year who have been unlucky and been inspected by the national minimum wage people, because there is a team of people who go and inspect. And I spoke to somebody this week who said even though they passed all of the tests, it took them 30 to 40 hours of administration time, because people will look back over 2 years of your pay records and timesheets, they interview all of your staff. So there's a burden even if you get it right. But the areas where people have got it wrong, where 1 or 2 of my customers have got it wrong, has really been bad luck. Because not many employers deliberately pay less than the minimum wage, and of course, you know, I can't protect them if we do. But people get tripped up, and what the law says is ignorance of the law is no excuse. So the 2 which we get most frequently is clients who insist that people arrive at the salon 15 minutes early and stay 15 minutes late. Now, once you insist upon that, that is working time and has to be paid. So if the minimum wage people come in and you're paying near the minimum wage, if your day is 9 till 5, they'll divide the daily wage by 8. If it's 9:15 to 5:15, they'll divide it by 8.5 hours. So you either decide, I really do want people to be here at 7:45 until 5:15, and then you pay them, or you say, we expect you to arrive in good time for your first client at 9 a.m.
Yeah,
and people aren't going to walk through the door at 5 seconds to 9.
Yeah, I know with our girls, they quite like to get in and get sorted,
ready, yeah.
and have a coffee and things.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so
that's why I said it's if you're unlucky, because what normally happens is staff will accept lots of things, and it's when they fall out with the owner or they leave. And when they leave, it's just so easy to say, I've worked 15 minutes early for 4 years and never been paid for it. So that's one of the big areas. Another big area is people get mixed up about apprentices.
Oh yes, yeah.
So apprentices is, I think, is clear, but I'm bound to say that the hourly rate currently for an apprentice is £3.40, and you get the minimum wage for your age when you get to 19. The exception is if you're already 19 or older, or you're going to be 19 in your first 12 months in the job, well then you don't get the minimum wage until you've been in post for 12 months. So, give you an example, if I'm 24 and you take me on as an apprentice, I don't get the minimum wage for 12 months.
Okay.
If I'm 17 and you take me as an apprentice, I don't get the minimum wage until I'm 19.
Okay, and it's 30 hours, isn't it, minimum for an apprenticeship currently, I think?
Yep, on the website it says the expectation is it's 30 hours.
And that includes college
And that
time?
includes college, yes. And one of my customers fell foul of a minimum wage inspection, and the only thing they hadn't done was 2 of their apprentices had to go back for some evening extra resits for NVQ and weren't paid for it. And
Right.
those 4 hours took them under the minimum wage by about half a p, but we still got a 4-figure fine.
Really? Wow. So is it a standard fine that you would get, or?
It's gone up every year, so it's now up to 20,000 per employee.
Really?
I don't think anyone's ever had that, but the national minimum wage people inspect the areas where people have traditionally got less than minimum wage, which sadly is hair, beauty and care homes.
Right.
So I know a care home's had an £80,000 fine.
Tips, that's another thing as well.
Yeah.
So tips, should they be classed, is it an employee responsible for, if they get tips, for tax and everything separate to that? Or
Right, it's absolutely black or white. You either say the staff keep their tips and you put in your workplace rules that they're responsible for advising HMRC.
okay,
If you collect the tips and share them out as part of their wage, well then that's not an element of the minimum wage, but it's taxable and the employer's responsible. So most of my customers now would simply say that the staff share the tips between them, or they keep their own tips and they'll simply say you're responsible to go into HMRC.
oh, that's fantastic. Right, brilliant. Thanks once again, David. That's absolutely wonderful.
Okay, my pleasure.